Good morning, good morning, good morning, B. How is it going?
Good morning, doing well. How you doing, Mom?
Good, good, good. So I'm going to turn it over to you really quick. If you could just kind of, I need to post on Facebook because we're not able to go live on Facebook. So
Of
yeah, I
course,
know,
of
right? So I'm
course.
I'm making sure that the people they can still listen. I'm going to try it a different way. So if you'll take it over, I'm going to just kind of get the people that I know usually tunes in with us, and then I'm going to share the video on my page. So
Sounds
that's
good.
the only way I know how to do it. So there's a couple of ways to skin a cat, and I'm all for learning how to do it, right? Let it do what it do, but we ain't gonna let it do us.
That's
So
right.
carry on, Brandon. Good morning to you. Love ya.
Love you too. Good to see you. I see you got your team spirit on with the family reunion shirt from this year. I got my family reunion shirt. Thank you for sending that over.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're
I should have
welcome.
I should have worn mine if I would have known. I would have worn mine this morning.
And you know what? I had no intentions on it. I was just like, it's Friday. I'm going to be kind of working probably in the storage again today, and then I have some things that I need to carry over. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put my empowerment shirt on. I looked in the drawer and I saw it. I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
I thought, funny thing is I actually thought about it before I went to bed last night. I saw the shirt and I was like, I might wear that tomorrow. But I completely forgot about it this morning. But welcome everybody. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. The people who can, we are live on Instagram, and so we got a couple people there. Thank y'all for tuning in. Some of my great supporters who are there every day, every other day. So I appreciate y'all for waking up with us. And for the folks on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, Facebook we'll get you there here soon. But for the people on YouTube, we appreciate you. This is the In This Season podcast where every single morning we read a passage from Dennis Kimbro's Daily Motivations for African American Success. Um, in these motivations, we get affirmations, we get a quote from a distinguished African American, and we get a passage that motivates us, that's insightful, that almost seems to be foreshadowing for the day that is coming. So we've learned a lot from this book. If you haven't gotten the book, this is what it looks like. Mine is a little tatted up a little bit, but it is Dennis Kimbro's Daily Motivations for African American Success. It'll help you focus on the thoughts, the attitudes, and the deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. So it's 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year. Um, Dennis Kimbro, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment. That's very important. The present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, to cultivate a positive attitude, to become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. So each motivation begins after the title with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year. What it teaches will last you a lifetime. So, thank y'all for being here with us. If you haven't gotten the book, go get the book. It's on Amazon for just a couple of dollars. I think it's under $15, maybe under $10. There's no excuse to get here every morning. I'm looking at some of y'all that have been here every morning that I know still don't have the book. Please get that book. What were you gonna say, Mom? You about to say something?
Nope. I saw an error. 86. We're on day 86, not 85.
Oh
So
wow,
there
look at
we
that.
go.
Hey, guess
86.
guess who just joined the live stream on Instagram?
Who?
Swanson family, our cousin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good to see you,
Hey,
man.
don't forget to hit me up. Don't forget. We're waiting to see you.
Show him the shirt you got
Okay.
on.
Look, got my shirt on. Hey, 40th consecutive year, you guys.
40th? Was it the
Dudley
40th year?
family reunion.
Was that the 40th year?
Yep, 40th consecutive family reunion, Easter
Wow.
weekend.
Wow. So y'all look, our family gets together every single year for longer than I've been alive, to celebrate the family, to look at our history. we've learned things about our greats, looked up records. But even despite all of that, we have a family church and property and a central place for our family to come and meet every single year. A property that's been in our family for 100 plus more years. I think more than 150, something like that. So it's a beautiful experience for me to be able to especially as an African American, because many of us are disconnected from our roots. But to have that type of story and that type of unity and community with the family, with my family, to come together every year for 40 plus years, man, that's incredible. So that's what it's all about.
Brandon, it was, I have to add this, it was the best that I'd ever, the best family reunion ever. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I am the best version of myself in this time.
Mm,
So it wasn't about anybody, everything was about me. And I was able to see, my sight is different. My heart is different. My ears are different. My words are different, right? And so I did not want to leave. I just wanted to stay, and I wanted to meet everybody and get everybody's number. And it just gives you a sense of belonging, right? But my light had to be on and I had to be home
like yesterday's
like
title.
yesterday. So if you didn't hear yesterday, you have to go back. The light is on and somebody's home. Somebody's there, I guess it's what it said.
Yeah, somebody's home. Yeah, yeah.
Somebody's home. Okay,
Mhm.
so I just wanted to say that and just thank um thank my family and thank especially those who put it together this year. So they've started every year a different I guess family puts it together. So like from a different brother or sister or whatever, that family puts it together. So they did an amazing job. But I do believe it. If I had taken the old Tammy there, she would have had the same old um,
Experience.
experience, right? So you got to be the best version. Get to being the best version of yourself. So, all right,
It's
over to you,
definitely.
Brandon, and I'm gonna check and make sure. I what I did was just shared the live video on my Facebook page. So I think everybody will still be able to join us. Thankful for that. Even this, I was up really early working on YouTube because I thought that's going to be the only means that we have this morning. And so I made some changes. So as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, again, everything works for us because that's something that I should have done before. I had to be forced into doing it, but that's okay. It's done and we're making some leeway there. So over to you, Brandon.
That's good, Mom. Thank you for saying that. And about our family, it's interesting that you mentioned it, and I agree. The lens, whoever we bring to the table, meaning we're bringing ourselves, but which version of ourselves we bring to the table affects how the food tastes. Not only does the love that the cook puts inside of the food, and I'm being metaphorical here, but also, you know, the 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 person that we bring to the table affects our experience, the food, the lens, and how we filter the information, filter the relations that we have, and the experiences and conversations. All of that is affected by us, by who we are. So thanks for pointing that out. I think that's a huge deal, and hopefully these family reunions will keep going on until the 50th, 60th, 70th year. So yeah, but back to the daily motivations for African American success in this book that we're reading. We're gonna jump right into it. Y'all let us know if you remember the passage that we read yesterday, the motivation, the affirmation, and in the comments before I read this or as I read this, let me know how it helped you. If it helped you, maybe it didn't. Maybe it went over your head or under your feet. Maybe it didn't affect you at all. But let us know how this podcast is going and if it's really helping you. Okay. So, um, my cat is locked in here today with me, Mom. I locked him in the room. I didn't mean to. He was
Which
hiding in the
one?
bed.
Is it Sage?
Huh?
Is it Sage? Because
No,
that's a, oh,
it's my big
Tom.
boy. It's Big
Tom.
Tom.
Okay.
Yep. Y'all get to
Tom.
meet.
I shouldn't say that about Sage. Y'all, Sage is that's Tom. Tom's cool people. Tom is cool. Sage, whoo, cool, but a different kind of cat. I think he's human.
Sage is the one when I go. There you go. When I go running down in the neighborhood, Sage runs with me. Okay, here we go. So, ain't that crazy? Like I'll go
Yeah.
running all around the neighborhood or wherever, and the cat just follows me. So I don't know y'all, but anyway, y'all got to
He
meet my.
knows everybody in the neighborhood.
Yeah, knows everybody. I mean, I feel like she ain't even my cat sometimes. Like I'm running, and if there's some like there's an Indian couple that goes out and walks, and she'll just go up to them and they're like, "Hey," I think they got their own name for her and everything. So ain't no telling. She living double lives. um, but for this April 26th, Tom, you gonna have to just stay in here with me today, buddy. It says the title is when. Oh no, I'm in March 26th. Lord have mercy.
Y'all work with us. Just work with us. Work with us.
It's
He
okay.
said, Lord have mercy.
Mercy. The title is "You Get Out What You Put In." The title again is "You Get Out What You Put In," and the quote comes from Zora. Oh man, I love this author, Zora Neale Hurston, a writer, is one of my favorite authors. So I
Hmm.
don't know if y'all haven't read any Zora Neale Hurston books. I mean, she's she's incredible, African American writer who made these beautiful books. You know, Their Eyes Are Watching God and Blue Eyed
Oh,
Girl.
she's the author of that. Their
Mm-hmm.
eyes was watching God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, that book's on my bed rest
Okay.
right now in my bedroom. So anyway, Zora Neale Hurston said, "My mother told me I was capable of doing anything. Be ambitious," she said. "Jump at the sun." And you know, Zora Neale Hurston, she writes in the dialect of African American. So when she said "jump at the sun," she said "jump at," then D is D E, or the
The
is D
sun.
E,
The
and
sun.
then
Okay.
sun S-U-N. Yeah, jump at the sun. So my mother told me I was capable of doing anything. Be ambitious, she said. Jump at the sun. Um, so the passage goes as follows: We yearn to be needed, wanted, and loved. We want
Mm.
to be important. We need appreciation, satisfaction, recognition, acceptance, and fulfillment. Remember, to the degree you give others what they need, they will give you what you need. This call this calls to mind the man in a desolate mountain region who was a laborer 6 days a week and a preacher on the seventh. He served a small rural congregation tucked far into the hills. The only monetary compensation he received came from the morning offering. One Sunday, his 6-year-old daughter attended the service with him. Just inside the door of his house, just inside the door of his house of worship, sat a table, and on it rested a collection basket. As they entered, the little girl saw her father place a $50 in the wicker basket before any of the congregation arrived. When the service ended and the last member departed, the preacher and his daughter began to leave. As they reached the door, both peered expectantly into the collection plate and found that the only offering was the $50 he had donated. After a short silence, the innocent little girl said, "You know, Daddy, if you had put more in, you'd have gotten more out. You now have the key to success that will unlock many doors that would otherwise be closed. Follow the advice of this young child. You can only succeed and achieve to the extent that you give and share yourself." So the affirmation for
Mm.
today that we read 3 times, one for you and one for the person or platform, Facebook, that you're going to send this to, is: if you feed others, you will never go hungry. If you feed others, you will never go hungry. And I think that's a, and to make it an affirmation, we almost have to switch it up to say, if I feed others, I will never go hungry. Okay, well, and that's an interesting distinction that I see in this affirmation. It uses you. It says you. It's talking to
Mm-hmm.
the reader as opposed to. So I don't know if that was on purpose, but maybe it's the little girl talking through the through the passage, saying that um, if you feed others, you will never go hungry. So, Mom, that's the passage. What do you think about it?
So, oh
What
wow.
are your thoughts?
You get out what you put in. Imagine you guys planting a strawberry seed and then oranges grow from that seed. Just imagine. And I'm not going to
That'd be
stay
weird.
there. Imagine what your thoughts would be if you knew that you planted strawberry seeds, but oranges grew, right? My mother told me I was capable of doing anything. Be ambitious, she said. Jump at the sun, DE, right? We've said here that if you set your standards high, if you reach for the stars, right? Some of us may not have ever heard those words from parents, father, mother, grandparents, never may have told us you're capable of doing anything. I fortunately, and I've shared this here, I remember my grandmother's words so candidly. They feel so present that can't is not a word that we use in this house. Can't is dead. You can do anything, right? So that seed was planted in me, planted. Now, that doesn't mean that I did everything, but that does mean that if I apply myself, if my light is on and I'm home and I have faith of just a mustard seed and am willing to do the work as the farmer, the young farmer came back after praying and he sat at the riverbank. After
Mm,
praying, he didn't just wait. He sat and had the ability to think that prayer out and pray on
mm,
his legs, right? Now sometimes we may have to sit and wait on God, but that should not be our go-to. And what you put in, you will get out. And you guys, that doesn't mean that the people that we pour into will always into us. Doesn't mean that. But it does mean that it's a blessing to be a blessing. And those blessings come from God. In fact, if you're doing it for, and yeah, like it says, we all yearn to be needed, wanted, and loved. But sometimes we're doing things to get those things rather than doing it to make sure that someone else is getting it. Because if you do it for the other person, it's a blessing to be a blessing. If you're doing it so that you are validated, that you are seen as the one that does this, and you're not doing it from your heart, my
mm.
greatest blessings have come from when I gave from my heart. And in most instances, wanted no one to know about it. When someone will post something on Facebook that they're going through something, I find it hard to post something right there in the comments. I will, and most times, go behind the scenes and send a message because I don't want to get caught up in, oh, hey, what do you need? I want that to be private, just like my prayer, private, right? So you have to question your heart. Sometimes you're giving, and what you get put in, or what you get out is what you put in. And sometimes we're putting in something from the wrong place, from the wrong heart,
Yeah.
not from a pure heart. And then I'll go down, I won't go through the passage right now. I'm going to turn it over to you. If you feed others, you will never go hungry. I thought about my grandmothers, but my grandma B, y'all, I'm telling you, I don't think that woman's pot ever went empty, ever.
Mhm,
I feel like she
mhm.
fed the entire Valdosta, Georgia. Anybody could come and get a plate. Miss B, what'd you cook? Oh, I cooked some beans, and you can go in there and get you some. And then there's already 13, 14, 15 people running around. and then she has enough for more. And I've heard other stories. Leo Barney, I don't know if he's out there from North Carolina. He spoke about how his mom would cook and feed the entire neighborhood when they didn't have enough. So we really do what you get out, what you put in. Because
Mm.
truth be told, Brandon, it's what?
It's about you.
It's you.
About you.
It's you. Just like the family reunion. I got out of it what I took with me. I got
Mm.
out of
You
it
took your
what I
best
took
self.
with me. Because when I was taking the unfinished version, the traumatized, the woe it's me version, that's what I got. My eyes saw all things that weren't right, and not from anybody's perspective, from my very own.
Mm.
So you get out what you put in. What are you putting in? Over to
And
you, Brenda.
guess who just jumped in the chat?
Oh,
B Tez, Brando.
Brando. Hey, Brando.
Brando. Yeah.
Brando.
Yeah.
Brando.
That's my boy, y'all. That's my boy. For real.
Yeah.
We, man, too much, too many experiences with Brando to name here. We could have honestly, me and Brando could have a podcast. Um, we could have a podcast of our own. I promise you, it would be the funniest, not because of me, because of him. That is the funniest human being I've ever met in my life.
Brando.
That is
Hey,
he's
Brando.
hilarious. But anyway, thank y'all for coming with us. We got a couple people in there. Um,
Let me check here.
one of the things that I noticed about this, and I think it's easy to overlook, and in all honesty, the affirmation made me go back, because the affirmation said, "If you feed others, you will never go hungry," and it usually says "I." So it made me think, okay, Um, something's different about this, right? And so I go back and I look, and I notice that the preacher who went, he worked 6 days a week as a laborer, and on the seventh day he goes in and he preaches. Um, and the only compensation that he gets is whatever's in the collection basket. But it doesn't detail in the collection basket if he asked the congregation. It doesn't detail whether or not he sent the collection basket around. You see what I'm saying? All it says is that uh, all it says is that he left it on the table when you enter. Did you
Mm,
notice that? So, and
that
he
is
put
interesting.
half a dollar in, right? So he didn't put a whole dollar in. So what that tells me is he was kind of half stepping, right? He didn't really what he needed in order to keep the congregation going, right? He came in, put it to the side, not in a space where people would obviously see it. And then I didn't see anything in there that detailed him actually taking a collection, right? And so I think he got out what he put in. He didn't ask, and I see that with a lot of people
Hmm.
with their businesses, with what they want out of life, what they want out of relationships. Um, I remember one thing that you taught me, Mom, is I remember you calling your father on your birthday to tell him to
Mm,
tell you happy birthday because you
mm,
needed to hear it, right?
right.
And so, and what you got out of it, you put in. But I would even lean to say you get more out of it than you put in that situation. So when you plant a strawberry seed, you don't get strawberry seeds back. You get a whole bunch of strawberries,
That's
a
true.
little itty bitty seed, right? So if we recognize that all we can do is all we can do, but if we don't do all we can do, how can we expect to get back what we need? And I remember another thing you taught me when I was 15. You said, if you settle for less than you deserve, you will receive less than you settled for. You'll get less than you settle for. So never settle for less than you deserve, because you'll always get less than what you settle for. And so in those two lessons that I learned from you, I've I've always kind of been the type to just go ahead and ask, or to say something. outside. I'm not the best asker. If I'm in a situation where I need something, I'll be honest. But as far as like ambitions and things like that, I'm more of a go getter. But I will admit that pride sometimes will keep me from saying anything. You know, so I'm working on that. I'll just be like, no, I'll suffer. I'll suffer in silence. I'll do this myself, or I'll work it out.
Mm, mm,
So seeing myself inside of this preacher man here in this passage, um, who may think, if I was in the congregation, of course I would give. So I expect everyone to give without being prompted. You know what I mean? And I think had he put a little bit more into it and saying, letting people know what the situation was, because it was immaterial in the story to know that he was a laborer 6 days out of the week. The story could have just started, on Sundays, a preacher goes in and sets the collection right down. That's the only thing he gets paid. But it detailed, and it said that 6 days out of the week, he, um, in a desolate mountain region, he works as a laborer and a preacher on the seventh. A preacher on the seventh. And it's interesting that it named the seventh because according to the Christian tradition, the seventh day is a day of rest. And for that to be juxtaposed in a sense with him having to go to work in order to be a preacher. So he's not resting. He's working on the seventh day. He's never really, resting. He needs something in compensation for this. He needs it. It sounds like.
It
You know
says
about
that's the only compensation. The
Yeah.
only monetary compensation he received came from the morning offering. And sometimes Brandon, you bring up a good point where we can take on the thought process that he did not ask the congregation, right? And sometimes we get in situations, especially in relationships, where we feel like where I shouldn't have to ask you,
Right. Right.
right? Like I
It's
shouldn't
crazy.
have to ask. And if it's a need that's not being met, we cannot hold people responsible for knowing always what we need. And Brandon brought up a good point about my dad, and no shade upon my dad at all. He's a man, and he loves you how he loves you, and don't he wasn't one to ever get really caught up in days and things like that. But I took a class called Healing for Damaged Emotions. Um, and it was through Pastor Young. We've had Mayor Young's father here in Memphis. We've had David on, and I took a class, and that was one of, oh man, a pivotal point in my life where I started to unravel even the more. And one of the things that it asks you to do is write a letter or letters, to the people who have hurt you the most or you felt most hurt by. You did not have to share them. So if you've never taken that class, look it up. Healing for Damaged Emotions. You can take it at home. So about a year after that, no, I'm sorry, the following year, one of the things I always, and it's a girl thing, probably a human thing for parents to hear from their parents on their birthday, right? And so this particular year, after that class, I called my dad and I said, "Hey, it's your daughter's birthday. I just want to hear you say happy birthday." And the silence on the phone spoke, it was loud and clear that my dad had no idea how much that meant to me for him to call me on my birthday.
Until
He
that
just,
day.
until that day, it wasn't a big deal to him. He's like, it just said everything, and it did everything for us. So I started to learn that, and it goes back to this: you get out what you put in. So if I know what I want out of it, right, I'm responsible for making sure that I get that. I get that. And if that means setting aside my pride to say, "Hey, Dad," doesn't matter who initiated the call. And my dad's, he's elder. He was elderly then. He probably was about the age I am now, and I'm starting to forget things, right? Starting to just like, oh, you know. And so you have to look at it both ways. And whatever you want out of it, be sure that you're putting that in, and you're asking for the things that you need. and that
Mm.
you're being a blessing. So, um, so I want to say just I see that KL is asking about, is this live? So yes, we are live. For you, for those of you who came in a little bit later, for whatever reason, I could not stream live to my Facebook page, to the Tammy Gator page. And in one instance, they told me that I'm going live too much. I'm streaming too much. But we know what it's about, y'all, right? Because it
Yeah.
allowed me to send it to my Bluff City and other pages. So what I did was I sent it to that page to go live, and now I'm sharing that live video on my page. So like I said, I've been just trying to figure out how to work it out so that we don't miss this. And I
If we
feel like I need to come up with a plan for the next whatever it is. But it is what it is. But we are live. We are
you
live.
bet you better believe if we were on here talking about celebrity gossip, who's dating who was saw at the club twerking on who, all this other crazy stuff, this stuff that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Um, they'll be
We
probably
would
canceling
not have the
so
issues
live.
that we have. We would
No,
not have
for
the
sure.
issues we get stuck trying to go Instagram live. When I'm telling y'all, they don't want us to grow forward. They don't want you to take control of your mind, your body, your spirit, your souls. They want to keep you distracted,
Mm-hmm.
controlled, fighting yourself and each other, right?
Yep.
So if you ain't praying your way through, like I've said here before, I pray, God, let me see only that thing or those things that I need to see on Facebook. And I mean, like if Johnny Doe is going through something, and I'm not supposed to see that, God. And I get it. People go through something, but maybe I'm not the one that's supposed to have the light on and be home for that situation. So I don't need to see everything. I don't need to see everything. So you better pray for all of your social media accounts for God to be in control of those things and for you not to be controlled by those things. You better be praying for that too. So I don't know if my brother is on, but I want to say to him, and I want all y'all to help me wish him a happy birthday. Today is his
Happy
birthday. So,
birthday, Uncle Mike.
yeah, happy birthday. If you're out there, let us know so I can sing to you this morning. I knew it. I knew it. I knew I was going to make you laugh. I'm going to sing to him this
That'll be
morning.
3 days in a row, y'all. All right.
Yeah, y'all. I'm going to get me
I'm
a
gonna have
contract in a minute here.
uh-huh.
Somebody going to hear it. Shut up,
don't give me
Brandon.
don't get me started, mama.
Somebody gonna hear me and sign me, and y'all gonna be trying to watch me every day. And
I
I'm gonna be
know.
like, click, get off. You
You
did,
want to support me when I was down.
yeah, you didn't support me. Yeah, click, get off my page.
Oh man. But I think yeah, happy birthday to Uncle Mike, man. A lot of love to you. He's going through his transformation right now. I've seen this man change his life and take on a journey of health, and to see the progress that he's had in his journey of health, exercise, fitness, is incredible and is inspirational. So Mike, if you're listening, keep doing what you're doing, man. This is the last thing he texted me last night. I saw this morning. I think I was asleep. He said, "Wake up." Michael just send you something motivational and stuff like that. And then I think he might go back and read the messages and then think of something again and send something. So I appreciate that, because I'm not always able to reply right then or anything like that. But when I go back and I'm able to read them, it's always very encouraging. So actually, Mike, if I can tell about my Uncle Mike, he actually was in part an inspiration for this, because every single morning for a while, my Uncle Mike would send me a daily motivation. He would send me some type of quote or some type of motivational or some type of gif that was inspirational, right? And I had become used to it. Like, I had become used to seeing it. So I think that was a seed that may have been planted in my head, and now um, here we are doing this. So who knows what the mustard seed produces strawberries, or not the mustard seed, but the strawberry seed doesn't produce other seeds. It produces a bunch of strawberries, the likeness of a mustard seed that grows 7 and 7 years. So, um, thank you, Uncle, for doing that. But back to the
Brandon, I have
passage.
a question for
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
and
yeah.
the people too, because it's something I'm having trouble taking in. this part. Remember, and I remember seeing this in another passage. Remember, to the degree you give others what they need, they will give you what you need.
Mm,
I disagree with that. So I need y'all to help me on that one. I don't think that's every situation. I don't feel that all people are at a place where they're able to give you what you give them. In most cases, I find it's quite different, until they get to a place where their light is on. They know it because I believe it's already on, and they're home. And as people continue to grow, then they are able to also want to meet the needs of others. But
mm.
I don't feel that, I think we're setting ourselves up if we think that we're going to always get what we give from people, from people. I think that you ready for this one. Go ahead. I'm going to shut up.
No, 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 no.
No, because
Listen,
I see you like you got something in you. Come on, bring it because I need help on this one.
I think when you say that, it makes me think of what I just said prior to, but maybe looking at it from a different perspective. What if you're planting strawberry seeds and you're expecting to grow more strawberry seeds?
Okay, I don't get it.
So you get out what you put in, right?
Hmm.
But maybe not in the same form. Sometimes you try to give something to someone, they don't give you anything back, but maybe
Hmm.
nothing was what you needed. Maybe what it's not something that they were to give you that looked the same as what you gave them. Sometimes it is the lesson that you get from that
Okay.
situation. Maybe you learn discernment. Maybe I shouldn't invest in that person. Maybe I shouldn't give so much time in this space. Maybe I should speak up more. Maybe I should do this. I should do that. I spoke to a Muslim sister out of she's from Brooklyn. I spoke to her maybe 2 days ago. I was on the phone with her for about 2 hours. I've never met this sister in my life, ever. First time I'd ever talked to her, heard her voice was in that conversation. The reason I was talking to her was because I was contacted by a friend of mine another Muslim friend of mine, and they were considering each other for marriage. And if you guys know about how Muslims do it, they don't really do a whole lot of dating, right? It's like, hey, who are you? Let's talk for a little bit. Let's maybe go out a little bit with a meet with somebody there as well. Let's talk over the phone, but it ain't no touching, no being alone, none of that. It's just some conversations, things like that. So they've been talking for a while, and they're considering marriage. And so, and they live in two different places. So I was a reference. I was asked to be a reference for the character of this man, and we spent about 2 hours on the phone. And we were talking about, marriage and whether she would be compatible with him and him with her. So she had questions for me about him. I had questions for her about her, uh, um, thinking for him. And one of the things she said was, we talked about the rights. I said, as a wife, and as a wife, your husband's rights are your responsibilities in Islam. And as a husband, your wife's rights are your responsibilities. You're the one to help fulfill. She has certain rights over you, and you have certain rights over her. Her rights are your responsibilities. Your rights are her responsibilities, right? And we agreed there. And she mentioned something of her own, out of her own, um, where she said, even if she said, let's say that in the moment, not overall, but in the moment, my right isn't being maintained or isn't
Say
being
that one
taken
more
care of.
time.
She said my right, like say one of her rights in marriage
Mhm.
isn't being maintained, right? Let's say something. I don't know what, there's different rights.
Mhm.
Like for some of the rights in Islam, like the wife doesn't have to work. It is the sole responsibility of the man to provide. If she works, that money is hers, and anything that she gives to that family, or any bills she pays or anything like that, is a charity. It's considered charity from her. It's not a requirement, but it is a requirement for the man to provide. But she said that and that's just one. That's a small right over a bunch of different rights. Her money is her money. My money is our money, kind of thing. And that's great. That's cool. It works out in that way. But one of the things she said is that even if my rights aren't being protected in that space at that moment, I still have to give him his rights, because me giving him his rights is between me and God, not me and him.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's between me and God, not me and him. So if I'm putting into this relationship and expecting to get the exact same thing out, that may not always happen.
Okay.
But you better believe that if you're doing right, that there is an intrinsic
Okay.
and maybe an unseen reality to where you are getting more than you can realize at this moment. And it's benefiting you. It could be benefiting you, could be, I say, in a way. And if you believe that life is working for you,
It is. Right.
then it has to benefit you.
Okay.
So it would be cognitive dissonance to say that I don't get what I put in, because we come from a place of sometimes giving with the expectation of equality, right? And I don't think we should give in the expectation of equality, of being recompensed equally,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
rather to be compensated equitably.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have
What?
you coming into the game 100%, and you're like, I'm giving you 100%. They may only be 80% today, so they can only give you 80%.
Right.
Right. And here we are saying you had a whole another 20%, but we really don't know
Right. Right.
what their
That
capabilities were.
helped.
So,
That
yeah.
helped a lot. That helped a lot. And because I don't think we should ever give with expectations. And I feel like a lot of people do that. Like you may try to act like you don't, but oftentimes I feel like people have this running tab of what they do or have done for people, and they're in some way expecting something back in some way, um, at some point in time, right? So
Mm,
I love the way you put that, Brandon. And when I read it now, thinking they will give you what you need. What you need sometimes may be absolutely nothing back from them. It
and it
may
may
be
not
the
be what you
silence
want.
to help you grow through the expectation that you should be getting something back. But I
Mm,
do believe that it is truly a blessing, you guys. It is a blessing to be a blessing. Whether you are able to bless someone with a penny or $1 million,
mm,
it is a blessing to be a blessing. I was out yesterday, and this lady, she had a sign out that she was homeless, and it says, I mean you no harm. And I don't know, it's her, I don't know the calling on that, which may or may not be, but I was led to give her something, but I thought I didn't have any cash on me. But then I remembered Tupac had left his $2 here. I had gave him $2 for emptying the trash, and he had left it here. So I'd gotten it and put it back in the car, or put it in the car, so when I saw him again, I could give it to him for his penny bank. Well, I forgot, and I remembered at that moment, oh, I do have $2. And I told the lady, this is all I have. You are welcome to it. And this was yesterday. Go to Aldi's. There's this young man with two kids standing out saying that I lost my job. We're homeless. We just need whatever you can give. And I said, I literally just gave the only cash I had earlier, but if you give me a minute, I will be able to get some cash back when I check out. He said, no, they don't give cash back in there. And I thought, oh, that's weird. Well, when I got up to the register, they did. He said some guy had just said that he was not able to get cash back, so he didn't give him
mm,
anything. So
mm,
this guy, when I came back out, who was going to get his blessing, he had left because he just
mm,
assumed, you know, what the guy before had said, they don't give you cash back. Right. So I'm saying that to say, you guys, follow your heart, but always, always, always remember that what you put in, that you will get out what you put in. So the question to internalize is, what are you putting in? And not just what, why? Is it
mm,
to glorify the kingdom of God, or to shine the light on yourself?
mm,
Right? Because The way that God blesses us, y'all, there's no comparison. If no one else met a need of yours, if no one else, mother, father, child, husband, wife, that's not your issue. It's not your concern.
Mm.
But you will get out what you put in. And that's just the word. How about that? That's the word, not based on
You
anything anybody else said. That is the word of God.
you reminded
So
me of something.
what is it?
In the Quran, it says, "Oh, you who believe, illadina amanu, uh, uh, don't waste your charity with reminders or hurtful words, or don't basically revoke your charity. Don't undo your charity with reminders of your generosity or hurtful words like those who donate their wealth just to show off to others
Mm-hmm.
and who
Mm-hmm.
don't believe in the last day, who don't believe in Allah or the last day, right? Which is Judgment Day. So the Quran is a final testament, right? Old Testament, New Testament, final testament, and it's structured around us coming to Judgment Day. And it says don't undo basically, and don't undo your charity by reminders or hurtful words like you know so and so is this because he ain't paid me back or whatever. You know what I mean? Because you could have that tone of expecting some type of reward in this life for um, charity, which is something that is supposed to benefit you in the next life, right? And so if you try to take all your benefits from your charity in this life, then you're really doing a bad trade, right? So don't cancel your charity with reminders, even to yourself, right? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
or even like go to God for those. I think there's these things that I like to do, and I was inspired by people better than me to do this, but like leaving something for God, like having a secret with God.
Mm-hmm.
Having a secret, like your right hand doesn't know, or your left hand doesn't know what your right hand gives. Like you're so secretive about your charity that your other hand doesn't even know what the
Yeah.
right hand gave, right?
Yeah.
So that you know you never know who's walking around you. There are some people that are walking around you that could be friends of God. You feel me? Like they could really have gotten the pleasure of God, and we don't even know it. It may not be the big philanthropist with their chest all out on the front page of the news who
Mm-hmm.
donated this many millions. You know, it could be the guy who
Mm-hmm.
dedicated his legacy and his life savings to an orphanage. It could be the guy who left everything that he knew to go build wells in Africa that no one knows his name except for the people in that village. It could be the guy who saw someone in need, and even in passing or at their place of work, and sent something to them anonymously. It could be the person that removed. So in Islam, there's a special blessing for someone who removes something um, out of the path of the road. Like if there's something that's just in the middle of the road, somebody who stops what they're doing on their journey to remove something that was in the road. And so like anytime I'm driving out, and my wife can tell you this, I've seen stuff just in the road, like something fell off of somebody's truck and it's a hazard. I now have an incentive to pull over and take this out of the road. Not just in any way, it's just being a good, decent human being that someone could make this turn and hit this and mess up their whole day and go where they're going, cause another accident, lose life. But to take the time out to do something that's inconvenient, to remove something from a road for people that don't have the ability. How many people will go and pass that road freely and don't know you from a bag of rice? Like they
Mm-hmm.
just,
Yeah.
they don't have the opportunity to even tell you thank you. But God and the angels see us from a place that we cannot see them, right? And so all of those things add up. All of those things matter. And imagine making that your lifestyle and then getting to a point to where you meet your creator and you probably even forgot yourself, right? Imagine getting there and you have all these intimate moments with your creator and doing things to seek his pleasure, and that alone. You didn't want anything. You didn't want anybody to see you, to give you a pat on the back. You didn't want your wife to say, "Oh, baby, that was nice of you. That was really cool."
Yeah.
Like, do those things and it will be a purification for your heart. You want to purify your heart? Start doing things that start doing acts of charity and good deeds with no other intention
Yeah.
but the fact that God sees you. You know, and that and like in Islam, you have incentives to do good. Like you get double the reward as you do the detriment for a good deed. You get so if you do a good deed, it's counted twice or multiple times, and if you do a bad deed, it only counts one against you. So we have incentives to. It's almost like spiritual algebra, you know, and the accumulation, not wealth as far as like financial wealth, but spiritual wealth, right? And when we get to Judgment Day, we see our scale. So I just wanted to share that with you, to do things without the reminders and to not cancel our generosity with hurtful words, reminders, or to boast ourselves up around other people.
So, Brandon, I have something to share. I'm gonna try to be really quick. It's 7:51, and I don't want your
Ah,
Instagram to go
that's
dead. So, yesterday, if you remember, we talked about Omar, about the young man that I got from Walgreens that long,
right.
long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you remember when I called you yesterday to let you know that I was headed your way. Do you remember the conversation when I called you to say, "Hey, I'm on the way"?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I meant to mention this to you when I got there yesterday, but so I'm on 61 and I'm going south, and I pull out and there's
You're going
this.
south back home. You're going
No,
north.
I'm when I left here.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's south. I'm going
No,
headed to Memphis,
no, that's north.
north. And so the I pull out and there's this young man going. He's going south, so opposite direction with a suitcase. And I don't know. I remember you asking me, "Are you okay?" But like that, my eyes went to him, and all I could hear was you saying, "In this day and time, we can't do that kind of stuff, right?" It was literally pulling a suitcase, look maybe 20 something, and this is a road that, I mean, there's nowhere to go, right? So I'm like, where is he going? But I did keep going. I did not turn around as much as I wanted to, but what I did do was I prayed for him.
Prayed for
I
him.
prayed for him because I have to have some discernment, right? I'm a woman because I heard Brandon, like I can't do what I used to do, and probably shouldn't have did it then, truth be told. But I felt I had to at that moment. And fast forward to where back to this passage. Remember, to the degree you give others what they they will give you what you need. So maybe they is all of us, is everybody, not just the person that you're giving to, because to give to one is to give to us all, right? So I'm reminded of a time, two times, where I was at some of my lowest points in life. Miss Rossi, you remember Miss Rossi that lived across the street from us? Miss Rossi was a wife. She did not work. She had 4 kids. They had 4 kids of their own. And then there were some more kids that were before the marriage. So they didn't have a lot, right? They did not have a lot. And one day I remember her coming over and giving me, and I so desperately needed these $20. And she came over and she said, "God just told me to come over here and give this to you." I didn't ask her. God sent her, right? And I wish I could remember the people lived directly in front of us. It was a husband and wife, and I've shared this before. They had 2 boys, and I was in a same apartment complex in North Spring Lake, North Carolina. Um, she came over one day and she said her son, who was about 9, 10, something like that, they got money for their chores, and she was getting ready to give him his money. And he said, "No, mom, take my allowance and take Miss Tammy out for lunch."
Mm.
So she took me out for lunch. That was everything that I needed that day. I needed connection. I needed, as this starts out, I needed to be needed, wanted, and loved. I wanted to be important. I needed appreciation, satisfaction, recognition, acceptance, and fulfillment that day. And while it may not have come from the people that I've given that to, they were part of that they. They were part of they.
Mm-hmm.
And God sent they to me. So I got out what I put in.
Yeah.
And I always do, even if it's at the last hour when I'm in a desperate state. What does that tell me? What it looks like to you, it's not to me, God. And it looks like the last hour, it's not even a second, minute, or anything, right? So you get out what you put in. It
Yeah.
may not come from the people that you expect it to come from, but the person you poured into is amongst the they.
Think about this. There's another story. I'll share two stories, and these are spiritual insights and stories. But even if it's, well, I'll start with the longer story. If a healthy society is a society where old men plant trees that they will never eat the fruit from.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying here? A healthy society, a healthy civil, a healthy community, healthy family is one where an old man, where old men plant trees that they will never taste the
Mm.
fruit from.
Wow.
And so in the story, a king was riding by on his horse and with his motorcade, not motorcade, but his, like, his caravan. And he saw an elderly man planting a tree. I forget what type of tree. It might have been an olive tree or some other tree, or a palm tree. So I think it was a palm tree. And this palm trees take about 20 years before they bear fruit. This was an elderly man. And so 20 years from now, he most likely won't be here. So the king said, "Why are you planting a tree? What are you doing planting a tree out here? You'll never eat from that tree." Right? And the old man said, he laughed and looked at him and he said,
Mm.
"I eat from trees now that I didn't plant. You eat from trees that you didn't plant."
Mm.
So he's basically passing that on. And I think the man got the king, like, thought it was profound and ended up helping the man plant the tree. But that, and the proverb at the end was that a healthy and decent society is one where the elders plant trees that they'll never take the fruit from. And that likens to a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said, even if it's the last hour, when you said the last hour, you told me, even if it comes at your last hour, it's still coming to you. But the hadith says that even if it's the last hour, even if you know with certainty that it's the last hour,
Mm.
and judgment day is upon you, plant a tree. If you have a sapling, plant it. Even if it's the last hour. The whole place is about to be destroyed. We're done here. The on earth is done. Even if it is the last hour and you're sure of it. It's Yom Kiyama, right? Day of judgment.
Mm.
And you have a sapling, plant it. Because in Islam, when you plant a tree, charity is one of the things that benefit you even in your grave. So it might not come to you right now. Even while you're in the grave waiting for judgment day. If you planted a tree, every time that tree gives shade to an ant, it's your charity. Every time the leaf falls and it fertilizes the ground, counts as your charity. Every time somebody picks a fruit from it or leans on it to alleviate the burden of them standing and walking, you get a good deed from it, even in your grave.
Mm.
and knowledge that you depart from you onto others, beneficial knowledge that you depart from yourself onto others, is something, and it's used. People continue to benefit from it, or tell someone else, and they tell someone else, and they continue to benefit from that knowledge. You get a blessing for it. So all the things that you've done that you think that you may not have gotten anything back from, is still coming to you.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate to do good. Because the good is yours. It'll always come back to you. You get out what you put in, and in most cases, you get more. All right. So
And
that's
do
all
it
we
for
got
the
for you
glory
today.
of God. Do it for the glory of God. Do it for the glory of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So over to you,
Yep.
Brandon.
We're
We'll
over.
close
We're
it
over
out.
time. My Instagram live is shut off on me. I
Yeah,
ain't gonna
I
keep
just got
too long.
notified.
Um, but I
We
just
got
want
to
to say
do
thank
better
y'all for
there.
rocking with us. It's all good. I mean, they know where to go.
Yeah,
They know where to
I
go.
feel bad when we just drop like that, though. Okay, it's all
It's all
good.
good. It's Instagram be like that. So I think we're kind of used to it on the Instagram side of just having lives like that. Not even just here, but all the lives do that. People continually go live to make up for it. But nonetheless, y'all, thank y'all so much for being with us here today. Thank y'all for the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being patient with us. Thank you for following along. I hope you get the book. I hope you're sharing the messages, the affirmations, and these stories. Let these stories stay with you so that you can give them in different situations or conversations that you have with your loved ones, your friends, your family. So this is the 86th day, and tomorrow will be the 87th. Please, please, please share this content. Go to the YouTube, type in this season podcast, like it, subscribe, let the algorithm know that this is what you want to see, want to hear. And it helps us out in that regard. We don't get paid for this. We're like the preacher here. We don't get paid anything for this, and we're not about to take no offering. I ain't gonna stop no cash app if y'all want to give me a little something, but I'm not asking for that at all, y'all. We're good over here. I know whatever I'm putting in, I'm gonna get out. We put in, Mom, you specifically have put in 86 days straight. So may you be rewarded um, for more. You know what I mean? For that and more. And may you all be rewarded for sharing this content. Remember that. Let that be a motivator for you to share these words, these inspirations, these motivations, that you will get the recompense for it, or you will get the reward for it. So that's all we got for you today, y'all. Go out there and be great. We will read the same thing, or we'll exit the same way we usually do, which is a reading of the title, a reading of the quote from the Distinguished African American, and 3 readings of the affirmation. So the title today was "You Get Out What You Put In." The title is "You Get Out What You Put In," and the quote is from none other than Zora Neale Hurston, the famous American writer, African American writer. She said, "My mother told me I was capable of doing anything. Be ambitious," she said. "Jump at the sun." And we read that passage about that pastor. I think he should have been more ambitious. He should have jumped at that sun. He should have put that collection plate inside of their hands and told him, y'all want this to keep going? You got to put something in the pot. You can only succeed and achieve to the extent that you give and share of yourself. And the affirmation that we read 3 times, one for me, one for you, and one for the people in person you're going to send this to, is: if you feed others, you will never
You'll never
go
go
hungry.
hungry.
If you feed others,
You'll
you will
never
never
go
go hungry.
hungry.
And last time, when we really internalize this one, I'll say if I feed others, I will
I
never
will never
go
go
hungry.
hungry.
All right, that's all we got for you, y'all. Go out there, be great, enjoy your day. We'll see you here tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 a.m. on the End of Season podcast. I love you.
Right.
Peace and blessings be upon
Peace.
you.
Y'all remember, if something is happening tomorrow, and this is why it's important for you to subscribe to the End of the Season podcast, so that you'll still know that we're going live. So far we've not had problems with YouTube, so at least we can always be live there.
Right.
So it's up to you to make sure that you're able to see the light on and know that somebody is home. Right? So
Absolutely.
peace.
All right, y'all. Thank you. Take care. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye bye.
Peace.